I was behind her in line at Target in 2008, just before everything crashed. She had a toddler on her hip, a little girl maybe 2 years old on her side, and one pack of diapers in her cart. One of those emergency packs, 16 diapers or so. She stared at the price like it was $1,000. She put it in the cart, then she took it out, looked at her phone, and put it back in, and stared again. You could see the gears turning, like, if I buy this, what doesn't get paid this week? She wasn't panicking, she was calm, focused, but she was calculating survival in real time. And I thought, this is how recessions actually start. Not when the stock market tanks, not when Powell gives a press conference. They start right here, in the diaper aisle. That's when I started paying attention to what I now call the real talk indicators, the weird signs, the human signs, the little emotional tremors that come before the earthquake. And today, I'm going to tell you 7 of the strangest recession signals I've seen in the actual wild. Some you've never heard of. Some will make you laugh. Some will stop you cold. But if you stay with me to the end, I'll show you why these strange signs might actually mean it's the perfect time to buy a house. Yep, you heard that right. Because I've lived through 2001, I bought through 2008, and I've learned one thing. When fear's in the air, that's when the door cracks open. So let's get back to that woman at Target. A few months after that moment, I read that pediatricians were reporting a rise in diaper rash. Not 1 or 2 cases, waves of them. Parents weren't changing diapers as often. They were using less, stretching supplies, buying generic, rationing. Why? Because a box of diapers suddenly felt like a luxury. It wasn't about fewer babies being born. It was about fear. The kind of fear that changes how you shop, how you live, how you parent. It won't show up in any Fed report, but if you talk to nurses, ER staff, or pediatricians, they'll tell you. You'll feel it in the exam room, in the waiting room, in the late night pharmacy run. That's when I realized we need to look somewhere else. We need to watch people and not charts. I had a friend who worked part-time in a coroner's office in a major city, San Francisco. This was around 2010. One night we were catching up over dinner and he told me something that really weirded me out. He said, you know what's weird? We're seeing more bodies go unclaimed. I paused and I said, unclaimed? Yeah, he said, like no one's coming in to pick them up. Families aren't calling, or they say they can't afford a burial, so the city ends up handling it. He wasn't being dramatic, just factual, like he was talking about traffic reports or the weather. But that hit me hard, because what that meant was this. People were dying, and even in death, the economy still was making noise. It's one of the darkest signals you'll ever hear of, but when families can't afford funerals, that's a line you can't pretend is not crossed. The data backs it up too. Municipalities report spikes in indigent burials during downturns, more cremations, fewer funerals, and it lags unemployment by a few months. But it starts with whispers at the morgues, quiet conversations in the hospital wings. And once I heard that, I started listening for more of those whispers. I was at Safeway a few years ago. This was past COVID, when prices were already nuts. The guy next to me grabs a pack of bacon, flips it over, and he says, $8.49 for this? And he shakes his head, puts it back, and he walks away. And I'm thinking, yep, here we go. You see, bacon's not a staple. It's a luxury grocery item. When people are scared, bacon is one of the first things they cut out. The bacon indicator is actually real. Grocery execs track this stuff. When bacon sales dip, it's not about pigs, it's about people tightening their belts. And you can see it before the retail sales numbers come out. The weirdest part, it's usually men who cut the bacon first. It's like an emotional tax. I'll go without the treat until we can afford what we need. You know, when a recession is building, stand by the bacon freezer and simply listen. A few years ago, my wife had a friend, we'll call her Sarah. Sarah worked nights at a gentleman's club in Southern California. Not a dancer, but a waitress. She wasn't flashy, she was grounded, she was very smart. She worked that job because it paid really well, especially in tips. And then 2008 hit. Sarah told us something that stuck with me. Guys stopped tipping, like literally overnight. She said they were still coming in, maybe out of habit, but it was different. No energy, no jokes, no champagne, no spending, just silence. She said, I'd come home after 8 hours with barely enough to cover the gas. That's when she picked a second job up during the day, waitressing at a diner, because the night shifts had dried up. Now, here's the thing. When people stop spending money in fantasy environments like clubs, casinos, even video games, that's when you know the pressure is real. It's not about entertainment anymore. It's about survival. That's what I call the Gentleman's Club Index. Because strip clubs, don't lie, they reflect discretionary spending faster than any report that you'll ever read. And look, if you're watching this and feeling like all these signs are pointing to something, they are. You're not crazy, you're early. Warren Buffett once said, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. Right now, people are fearful, but that's when you look closer at opportunity, at timing, at your next move. Because no one gets rich buying when everyone else is buying. You win by buying before the rebound. You ever walk into Home Depot on a Saturday and see the wall of cardboard boxes everywhere? I was there once during a downturn. I can't remember the exact year, but it felt off. The wall of boxes, fully stocked, no one around, empty carts. I asked the cashier, you guys not selling much packing stuff lately? She said, nope, people aren't moving. That hit me. When people feel uncertain, they don't just stop spending, they stop moving, literally. No new apartments, no cross-country moves, no upgrades. They stay still. And the ripple hits the moving industry, storage units, U-Haul rentals, even cleaning supplies sales go down. Recession doesn't just slow the economy, it freezes people's plans. So now, I wash the boxes. During economic downturns, sales of high-end fashion fall, but lipstick sales, they go up. Why? Because people still want to treat themselves. They'll just switch the treat. Instead of a $300 dress, they'll buy a $9 glossy lipstick. It's a small comfort in a moment of chaos. One of my friends used to manage a department store in the Central Valley. She said in 2009, they couldn't sell purses, but they were selling out of eyeliner and lip gloss. It's psychology, emotional math. The lipstick effect is a recession whisperer when people start trading dreams for distractions. All right, the last one, and it's Alan Greenspan's favorite. He used to say that men only buy underwear when they absolutely have to. It's not like women's fashion where there's rotation. Guys wear it till it's falling apart. So when men's underwear sales drop, it's not vanity. It's survival of the fittest. You don't replace boxers when you're worried about rent. That one still makes me laugh, but it's solid. It's been tracking true for decades. Look, if there's one mistake I'm seeing over and over, it's people waiting until the storm hits to go shopping for an umbrella. You just can't wake up on Thursday, submit a loan application, and expect to close on Saturday. You need to start preparing now because we know what's coming. Rates will come down, inventory is going to tighten up, and competition will absolutely heat up. And when that moment comes, only the people who are ready will be able to move. That means pre-approvals, that means strategy, that means knowing your numbers. You know what else happens during a recession? Opportunities come up. But if your money's all tied up in a car payment, credit cards, and personal loans, well, then you're stuck. So here's the play. Start eliminating payments now. Pay down what you can. Knock out high-interest debt. If you have equity in your house, this is the time to look at a cash-out refi. Not to blow it, but to reposition it. Imagine going into recession with no credit card debt, a paid-off car, and breathing room every month. Now imagine that and being pre-approved to buy when rates drop. That's power. The people who win the next market aren't the ones who wait and see. They're the ones who prep their credit, clean up their payments, and position themselves in front of the panic. So when fear shows up, you're not frozen, you're funded. That's how you play offense in a recession.